You okay there?
Jesus. I think I hurt someone.
Residents of Brookfield were shocked this afternoon by the broad daylight murder of Bruno Sauls.
The court accepts the existence of God every time a witness swears to tell the truth. I think it's about time they accept the existence of the devil.
What was the best piece of advice you received from James Wan?
You know, the best piece of advice was really to focus on the emotion, you know, and it was a really kind of broad ranging note, but it's something that I've come back to again and again. I think it's one of the things that I think that movies, you know, the best movies are emotional experiences. And, you know, that emotion can be fear. It can, you know, without a doubt, these are horror movies. So that a lot of times it's going to be that. But, you know, making sure that these are emotional stories, powerfully emotional stories that, you know, engage us, that just kind of grab a hold of our heart and just kind of, you know, drag us along for the ride. I think that's been one of the things that, even as, you know, I'm looking at, you know, my next projects, that's always in the back of my mind. You know, how can I make the most emotional experience possible? Because I think that's, you know, it's at our core, you know, we like to think of ourselves as intellectual people, that we make smart decisions, but really we are so emotional, and we'll make all of our decisions out of like these kind of irrational emotional places. And so I think, you know, it was such a very smart observation. I mean, that and the other thing that he said is, you know, the Warrens, Patrick and Vera, they are the secret weapon of the Conjuring franchise, and I found that to be so true. And they give it the soul and the spirit, and they are the thing that we keep on coming back for.
Absolutely. You know, this movie actually goes in a very different direction from the previous one. So I wanted to ask you, how was that experience of you know, taking the franchise on new grounds?
I thought it was really exciting. I think it was scary and exciting. I think it was scary because it was, you know, I am a huge fan of this franchise, and I want to honor it and respect it. I want to see the next Conjuring movie just like everyone else. And, you know, so I was, you know, nervous because I didn't want people to think that, hey, this is a different Conjuring movie. This isn't what the Conjuring movie is all about. But as a fan also, and what excited me as a filmmaker is I did want something different. You know, the Conjuring films have already made some of the great modern haunted house movies. I wanted a new experience. I wanted to see where else it could go. And, you know, I think, you know, the Warrens are paranormal investigators, and to really, you know, to see them investigate, to see them go on the road, to see them, you know, do things that we've never seen before. I mean, one of the things in True to Life, Lorraine actually would work with police departments and detectives, and that's not something that we ever saw in previous movies, but it's a fascinating thing. And it's also very 80s. That was happening a lot in the 80s. And, you know, I just thought there was all of these kind of great new things we could explore in this movie.
While you were exploring the Warrens and their history and their cases, was there a case that you thought maybe you can make into another movie in the future?
You know, there is definitely some exciting plans that James has for, you know, future films. You know, I think that there's a lot of cases, and I think James has some really exciting plans, you know, for the franchise. And I would leave that up to him. I think that, yeah, you know, I would not want to reveal anything prematurely, but, you know, he definitely has, you know, some really interesting directions to take it.
Awesome. And speaking of James and maybe you, you know, there are a lot of horror directors that go on and make superhero movies. Why do you think that relationship exists? What do horror directors have that, you know, they can give something new to superheroes?
You know, I think that, you know, there's probably a lot of ways to answer that. I think that, you know, part of it is, you know, there's a lot of ways to answer that. And honestly, I think that it's probably a case-by-case basis. And, you know, some of it comes down just to, the marketplace. And, you know, and this is the most boring answer, but I think it might be the most truthful, in that the majority of theatrical movies are, you know, tend to be, you know, we're now in this time where it's like, it's either horror movie or superhero movie. And the other type of things, we're seeing those on streamers. And so I think a lot of these other genres have kind of been pushed out. So I do think that you see, you know, I think that just kind of creates an environment where if you're not doing horror, you're doing a superhero movie.